lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and I'm here today to talk about my favorite characters of 2021. If you didn't know, this is a 7 on Sunday topic and I am the host of 7 on Sunday. I will link the Goodreads page down in the description where you can check it out and you can participate in a topic in the future, or you can suggest a topic. And today's topic is really exciting because we're following on with the theme in December of pretty much counting down some of the favorites that we've had this year. I've had many favorite characters. In fact, I'm probably gonna bring these books up and I'm gonna be like, this book is good, but I have multiple favorite characters from this book or series. Pretty much today, I'm just gonna be gushing about some of my favorite book characters, and I invite you to join along in the discussion. If you guys do also fancy these book characters, let me know. The characters that I've chosen, I've either liked for entertainment purposes and they move to the plot forward in a very good way, or I just have a genuine connection to them and can empathize with them in some sort of way. And I'm definitely gonna go through that in this video. So yeah, I don't really need to further explain. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna start off with the book that I probably have the most favorite characters from, and this is a very character-driven novel, so I don't actually expect everybody to agree with me because a lot of people don't think that much happened in this book. I think a lot happened in terms of character development, but I can totally see where they're coming from in terms of the plot. The book that I bring up is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, and the characters I bring up are my two faves, Cassian and Nesta, but also Gwyn and Emery, who are introduced in this book. And honestly, what they have to contribute to their first book in the ACOSF series is absolutely powerful. I honestly cannot believe that Sarah J. Maas put these characters in this series and made us fall in love with them straight away. I'm really happy that she took the time to let us get to know both Gwyn and Emery, and they take a significant portion of this book. You've got Nesta, who has her support system in them, and then you've got Nesta, who also has her support system in Cassian. I just love all of those four characters. Nesta herself, I felt like I could resonate with the most. It's actually very funny because Camilo is currently reading the original trilogy, and he says his favorite character at the moment is Nesta. He prefers Nesta, and he always kind of has preferred Nesta over everyone from the very beginning. And I know BookTube technically made us hate Nesta because it was a very popular opinion to hate her. I think from a very young age, because I let BookTube cloud my judgment, I never really got to see how she could be somewhat redeemable within the series. In fact, I don't really even think that we needed to redeem her character. We just needed to apologize and get to listen to her. This book gave us the opportunity to listen to her, and I love that in this book series she does not play the victim and she chooses to rise up. A Court of Silver Flames actually encouraged me to reach out for help and to start building a support system again. It was through Nesta's journey that I saw that encouragement came from. So I'm actually very thankful for that. And then I've got to talk about Cassian, who is an absolutely supportive partner. Of course, he has allegiance to his High Lord, but because he sees Nesta as his partner, there are some things that he feels like he shouldn't be keeping a secret from her, and I respect that so much because that's when you know they're the right person. I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but there were many secrets that the inner circle essentially established, and they didn't want this information to come out to Nesta, and for some reason I found that to be super cliquey. But what I loved about Cassian is that he never really did these things in a slanderous way. He definitely felt conflicted about certain things, but he decided that it was right to actually get in touch with Nesta about certain things. And in all honesty, I see nothing but an absolutely loyal partner in Cassian. And dare I say, I love the Valkyries more than I love the inner circle. And next I have to bring up Cecile, Tristan, and Mark from the Malediction Trilogy by Danielle L. Jensen. I love these characters so much. And it's funny because Mark is technically a friend to both Cecile and Tristan, who are the main couple in the series. And he's a lot more of the soft boy. And then you've got Tristan, who's like the brooding male protagonist. He's got his walls up. But at the very same time, I feel like he was the perfect amount of brooding when it comes to a hate to love dynamic. And I think that both Tristan and Cecile did not want the situation that they went through to begin with. But what I love so much is seeing Tristan's character development throughout it all and seeing him fall in love with Cecile. And then Cecile just being strong throughout it all because she was essentially kidnapped as a bargain in order to marry into the troll court. And both love interests want no part in this, but they end up starting a little bit of a love story, and it's kind of cute. I really love love the whole marriage of convenience plotline that's going on in the story. They are my babies. I especially love Mark. He's my baby. I just have so many positive feelings about these characters, and I love this world, and I feel like I'd do anything for Danielle L. Jensen to go back to it, to write more of these characters, especially Cecile and Tristan and Mark. I love them. And speaking of Danielle L. Jensen books, I also want to bring up Karis and Zara and Lara from the Bridge Kingdom series. I'm not bringing up Aaron. I don't hate Aaron. I just think that he made some terrible decisions in The Traitor Queen, which I will actually be talking about in another video. It's a very negative one, but oh my goodness, The Inadequate Heir is definitely one of the best books that I've read this year, and definitely one of the best works from Danielle L. Jensen, and that's saying a lot considering that I love the Malediction trilogy. I really love this follow-up and this companion novel to the Bridge Kingdom world. But what I also really love about this book is that Danielle L. Jensen made me fall in love with these two new characters and made me invest in their story probably the quickest she's ever made me. Yes, I did love Cecile and Tristan, and I learned to love them more throughout the series, but I think The Inadequate Heir did it even more perfectly, and I think it's because the world was already established, it was already built, so you could already see how their circumstances could be tragic. But oh my goodness, these characters are absolutely very well written. I'm not saying that for Aaron personally, but in terms of Lara, Karis, who are siblings, and then Zara, who is the love interest to Karis, oh my goodness, they are the perfect characters in my opinion. And now I want to talk about Amelia from Kingdom of the Wicked. I did like Wrath more in the second book than I did the first book because I felt like we rarely got anything about him, but the thing about this book series is that Wrath is meant to be a mysterious character, and the reason why he's meant to be a mysterious character is all intents and purposes of the second half of the second book. But yes, he is a mysterious character throughout the series, and we just have to deal with that. And some people actually like him, I think, because they think that he's hot, so yeah, there's that. But what I liked about Amelia is that she was very smart, and she did everything she possibly could to face the eyes of fear. She tried to make sure that she wasn't letting any fear get in the way of her quest for vengeance, essentially. And I kind of like that. She doesn't take no for an answer. Kingdom of the Wicked's Amelia, definitely one of my favorite characters of this year. And now I want to mention Voya in the series Bloodlike Magic, and I think I loved Voya a lot because of how much she cares about her family. Every single time I bring this book series up, I do talk about the family aspect because that is such a big part of the book, and Voya does care about what's going on. She does have a moral compass, and you know, I really appreciate that about her, and I think that that's what makes her a very good person in this book series. But she's got to make some terrible decisions based on the task that she's been given in order to save her family's magic. So there are sacrifices that she has to make, and I love that this book also made me question my morals as well, like Voya had to in here. Yeah, I mean, she sees the best in people, and I love that about Voya. Now I want to talk about Grace and Hudson from the Crave series. I feel so good to talk about a Grace in a book series that is not unlikable or is not like a very far outside character, but is a protagonist that is just top tier in my opinion, because Grace Blackthorn could not be that for me, and I'm devastated. Really excited for Grace Blackthorn's journey because we share the same name, and yeah, I was severely disappointed by the time I was reading the Last Hour series. But Grace in the Crave series is someone I appreciate because she's that type of character who knows her strengths. She knows that she's strong, and she knows that not all the time she needs to be protected, but that she can protect, and she's strong enough to do so. And you often hear the series being referred to as feminist Twilight. It's not necessarily just like Twilight, like it has vampires, but that's pretty much the only comparison. Like, they're two completely different series. If anything, it kind of almost reminds me of Harry Potter, not in a sense that we're in a wizard school, but we're in a boarding school full of paranormal characters and creatures. Even though in my personal opinion, this is definitely better than Harry Potter. I really love a Grace that I can look up to. I also really love Hudson. He is very charming. You get to meet him in the second book, but the first book, you're kind of meant to be pinned against him. He's a very morally gray character, but you know, I love a good mysterious, morally gray character, and I think that Tracy Wolff did a great job with his character. He definitely makes for a character who is so entertaining and steals every scene, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing where his journey is gonna go in the next books to come. And also with Grace, oh my goodness, I love these characters a lot. I'm super invested in their story, and I just cannot wait for court. I hate that it got pushed back for months. And of course I can't do a favorite characters video without bringing up Puppy from the Blood and Ash series. Puppy is definitely like one of my favorite characters of all time and will probably remain on that list for my lifetime. And the reason why I love Poppy so much is because Poppy has endured a lot of the things that I have endured, not necessarily in terms of this context, but there's a lot of things that I can relate to in terms of my past experience, in terms of religion and expectations and everything. And I think that characters like Poppy and characters like Nesta, who kind of follow me in a different part of my journey, they are such important representation for everyone out there. And the reason why I think that they're such important representation is because they've been through a lot and they're strong enough to rise up and be brave enough to not let anyone get in their way. Such a broad way of saying it. That's definitely what I admire about characters like Poppy and Nesta. And with Poppy, her journey is in a completely different context, but it was very healing for me to read Poppy's story this year. You know, there are times where she even breaks down in her love interest's arms. It's because that she's not used to someone being kind to her. And you know what? That's a thing. It really is a thing if you've gone through a terrible religious past. Heck, sometimes I do it with Camilo. Like, I break down and I cry, and I'm thankful that even though they're doing the bare minimum for me, it's kind of the kindest that I'm ever used to being treated. It kind of felt really good to read about someone who's gone through similar circumstances and will react to certain interactions in a very similar way to you. The reason why I bring this up is because representation is really important. I think the representation for what it's like to survive a traumatic past is definitely something that I don't take for granted in books. As much as a lot of people say that the Blood and Ash series is not well written, I do get it. But I technically read the series for Poppy. I don't regret saying that. I read it for her. I don't actually really care about the way that it's written. I read it because she's a character that I can resonate with and probably one of the closest characters that I can relate to. And then I also have to mention Seraphina and Ash from A Shadow in the Ember series. I loved this couple dynamic a lot more than I liked the Blood and Ash dynamic, and you know, I've only read one book. It's funny because this dynamic technically parallels, but it's in reverse. I don't know, I really like that a lot. I really like the parallels between the Flesh and Fire and the Blood and Ash series, but they're not entirely the same. A lot of people are saying that Seraphina and Poppy are pretty similar, and they couldn't really distinguish them, and you know, I do get that. Was I swooning for Ash or what? He is just my favorite. Technically, Ash is a god. He could overpower anyone. He could overpower Seraphina. But yeah, no, I really liked their dynamic in here, and I know that it's only just the beginning, so we don't really have too many deep moments from them, and we're yet to have more. But oh my goodness, do I smell a beautiful romance blooming. Let's hope that things go well after the revelation at the end of this book. And finally, I want to mention Kiva from The Prison Healer. What I like about Kiva is that you can't really trust Kiva. I think the thing that I do admire about Kiva is that she's very secretive. She's very bitter for a pretty good reason. She's been through a lot, especially because she technically is the prison healer. But oh my goodness, when I finished the book, I was overwhelmed by how much I felt happy yet betrayed by this one character. Definitely a standout character of this year because she left that much of an impact on me. There's not really much I can say without spoiling this book, but what I do know is that I highly recommend you read The Prison Healer because I can't spoil it for you. You have to find out why. So I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. If you happen to enjoy it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at gswizzlebooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Started out with half and I flipped it into double. Started out with half and I flipped it into double.